Right now, we saw it come out from Hansama and Gorilla yesterday. They weren't able to successfully play through it, and Schalke actually choosing to prioritize the Tahm Kench suggests that they're actually fine playing against the Xayah Rakan, and they'll be looking to play more towards their side lanes once they hit the mid game.
And I also think it's in response to seeing a Sejuani, as well as the fact that they have a Skarner. Tahm Kench works very well against champions with a lot of hard CC, so when you have the Sejuani ultimate, yeah, they could go for the Xayah Rakan, but I feel like it might be some mind games where maybe they wanted to go for something like a Sona Kench themselves on Schalke side, or maybe because it is a Sejuani priority pick, they're like, crap, we must grab the Tahm Kench here, because it's not worth it to give them both Sejuani and Kench.
May not be worth it, but they do now have the power of the Sejuani, the Aatrox, potentially the Akali here as well. Is he going for it? Hovering through his champion pool, I think, just teasing us a little bit. We'll see what the final lock-in will be, but the synergy between the Aatrox and the Sejuani, one of the reasons we don't see Sejuani let through very often. Ooh, Yasuo, let's go! Double melee champions with a Sejuani jungle. That is a recipe for early game disaster.
Very strong 2 versus 2 coming out from the side of Misfits. Heavily suggests that we're going to be seeing play around the mid lane. I'm excited to see how this one plays out for Misfits. No bot lane locked in, which means that Schalke in the second phase can look to pinch that role and guarantee themselves a strong 2v2.
But if we know that it's going to be a very strong 2v2 coming out of Misfits, then Schalke know the exact same thing. So they're trying to find a pick, if that Akali goes mid lane, of trying to deal with that. Either match fire for fire, or they just need to put Abbedagge on something that can wave clear and neutralize the lane, absorb a lot of that pressure.
And it's interesting to me because, once again, it feels like we are seeing a Misfits gaming draft where the solo lanes will be the focus. Historically, this has not worked out very well for them. They have been the most successful in this past year when they've been playing around the bottom side of the map. When you have Yasuo, when you have an Aatrox, and you have a Sejuani like this, it feels like some of that attention has to go to one of these melee matchups.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's perhaps why they put Kirei in. We saw what he did last week and how well he played around the likes of Fibberman and SoaZ. Hopefully he can do the same thing again. Meanwhile, in the bot side of the map, Schalke looking to ban away some of these supports, limiting away some of the strongest that we see right now in the current patch, both Lux and Rakan. No surprises really there.
Now, Vedi, I know we're really excited to see the Yasuo, especially if Leader is the guy who pilots this champion, but what do you actually think about giving up the potential of grabbing something like a blind pick Lux, which works very well in a support position, that they actually gave away opportunity to secure a more dominant bot lane and go through the second phase of bans?
To me, this suggests that they wanted to try and get Leader something that he's very comfortable on, and they must have something prepared to answer this Tahm Kench. I think that while Galio did receive some small nerfs, he can still be viable against the likes of Tahm Kench. You could consider Nautilus as well, but against the Sivir, I think that makes it a little bit harder. And based on the number of options that they have, I think Misfits have to have something in their back pocket if they want to guarantee anything in this 2v2, because Sivir very safe, especially when paired up with a Tahm Kench.
Absolutely. Going to be very difficult to lock down as they move further into the game, as well as the potential to move across the map with all that wave clear, courtesy of the Abyssal Voyage. Misfits appears to be debating bottom side of the map options. Always the potential you could see a Yasuo bot lane. Don't think we'll see it here, as the Ezreal is now set to be locked in. Hansama will grab that one for himself. Only the support remaining. What does Gorilla prioritize? Is that going to be a defensive option? Something more aggressive?
Braum, I would say, is the big one that steps out to me. A, because Braum can deny a lot of what Sivir wants to do, and B, because they don't really have a lot of hard engage outside of the Sejuani ultimate. Braum can make that easier. Gorilla's special is something like the Thresh, but I feel like this is a bit more of a Gorilla comfort champion than what I think works perfectly here, which, there we go.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. If we were going to see the Thresh lock in, I would have expected Hansama to be left alone a lot, and we see a lot of roaming from Gorilla. But by going for the Braum, this suggests that they're going for a very, very defensive 2 versus 2 lane. Up against the Sivir, you expect to not have that much push. But I think there are a couple of gank opportunities later on into the game when you pair up like a Braum and a Sejuani.
But I do like the window kind of into the mindset of Misfits, because I feel like you're right, that could have been a very serious discussion if Gorilla does grab the Thresh, because this is such a strong 2v2 between the Sejuani and the Yasuo. If you throw the Thresh on top of it, it makes the game plan very clear from Misfits.
And now, Schalke are answering by locking in the Jax towards the top side of the map. They saved the counter pick for Odoamne. We saw Fnatic do the same thing against Misfits, and Fnatic hard camped SoaZ. He was doing very well in the early laning phase. He built up a massive CS advantage over Bwipo, but in the end, he got outscaled by the Jax. So we imagine that Schalke will be looking to do the same, playing around the top side. But again, Sejuani with these melee matchups offers a lot of value in the early game. So I think that right now, Misfits have set up their solo laners for success, and it's all about whether or not Kirei can be more influential in the early game than Trick can.
Have to find out. My big fear. All AD composition against a Jax. If he gets Spear of Shojin, permanently up Counter-Strike in a fight, he is untouchable.
I would argue that right now we're seeing a lot of Luden's Echo on the Ezreal, and many pros consider Sejuani to deal a lot of AP damage. So as far as they're concerned, I think they're okay.
May just be able to work out for them. We're going to have to see what the options are for both team comps. Both teams now gearing up as we get in. You can see them behind them now. Is it going to be enough on the side of Misfits? Can they successfully play around their solo lanes this time around? What is the story of this game going to be for the lineup? Schalke, Abbedagge versus Leader in the mid lane. Two new players going toe-to-toe as we get ready to go into our second game of the day. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Misfits versus Schalke. Two teams, both at 2 and 3. Have to see who is going to come out on top. Immediately, eyes are going to the solo lanes. However, bot lane appears to be more defensive for both opponents, but the top lane and the mid lane, I feel like they have to be the center of attention.
Should be noted that Gorilla took the keystone of the unsealed spellbook on the Braum. Again, not super uncommon, but it is something that when you talk to the professional players that they really like to keep track of, especially someone on Gorilla who can be quite slippery with that keystone, getting early access to a TP and showing up into a lane that you might not expect him out.
Yeah, the flanking TP Braum is always the thing you've got to be most terrified of as you approach the mid game. But I agree, I think the summoner spell choice is very solid. What I'm really excited to see is Misfits putting all this focus on their solo lanes. Like, this game shouldn't really be much about the bot lane in the early game. It should be a lot of farming. Typically, you expect a Sivir to have priority in the lane, especially with the Tahm Kench. You can actually play quite aggressively up against the Braum. However, I think it's just going to be a lot of passive play in the 2v2.
Which is why I really like trying to keep track of if Gorilla does get access to a TP, because I agree with you. I think it is all going to be about these solo laners, and then who is going to impact them, if that is the support staff or the junglers.
And what I really like is that both mid laners have gone for Ignite. Often you'll see things like Teleport being run on Akali so that she can be played in a solo lane later on. Sometimes you see even things like Exhaust on a Yasuo as well to help them win the 1 versus 1. But they're going all out aggression, suggests that both junglers will be looking here in the near future.
Feels like it's kind of put up or shut up time for Abbedagge, you know. Unfortunately, the rookie class of the mid laners in spring didn't really inspire much confidence to the very tall talent that EU has produced for this position. Abbedagge kind of had his heyday on the Lissandra, but really fell apart when he got his hands on his Yasuo. So it's time for Leader to inject some confidence back in, or for Abbedagge to redeem himself.
See how that works out. For now, though, you can see in the top lane matchup, hold that thought, 5-1 on Yasuo for Leader. Remember that you have to respect this guy. We'll see if the solo queue playmaking, if the Regional League and EU Masters playmaking can come through as well on this stage.
The first time that I heard about Leader, Deficio pulled up the VOD and he goes, "You have to watch this guy."
Yeah.
And it was highlights of him playing Yasuo in solo queue. Deficio explained him as a Yasuo one-trick. Obviously, he's diversified his playset from them. This guy is absurd on Yasuo. His highlight reel is incredible. The mechanics that I've seen from his solo queue, I hope we get to see it in this game.
Yeah, Worlds 2018 that was. It was a lot of eyes have been on Leader for a while. Now he finally makes his debut on the LEC stage. So far, he's been the one gaining early priority in the lane. That often does happen on a Yasuo. He can obnoxiously spam that Q out. But we already talked a lot about early game aggression from the junglers. Kirei hanging around the top side. He's managed to sleuth his way around this Tribush ward. And Odoamne, he can expect that a dive is coming, but Trick is on the bot side of the map.
A lot of potential burst here. Tanks the initial shot, wants to reset the tower aggro. Does he have the third stack of the Dark Blade? It's going to be a lot of damage here. Are they going to go for it to back off? Leader is on the way up. Odoamne now trying to come back with a stun. Tower aggro isn't there. One more auto is going to lead into the stun. It's going to guarantee it. Kirei, they're debating on who's going to tank here. Damage is now coming through. Kirei caught on the tower, but flashes out before it can connect. Odoamne is going to get locked up and taken out midair. First blood for Leader.
But you need to expect dives like this, not just because you have a Sejuani as well as the Aatrox who knew it was about to be the solo laners, but because it was a slow push. The wave got stacked up and then it crashed the tower. It's a very telegraphed maneuver. So when you're also running Ignite in your mid lane, you don't have the TP to protect against dives like that. And also, Trick was nowhere to be found.
But what I loved was how well the dive was actually set up. Notice how patient the side of Misfits are. As you rightly said, Frost, they have this massive wave to play with. And what they want to get is the E out from Odoamne, because once that's gone, the dive becomes a lot easier. So the moment he uses it, they disengage. They wait for Leader to arrive. Now it's 3 versus 1, and Odoamne, he can only look to flash away. Leader utilizes the minion wave to close the gap. A good last hit slow combined with all the melees stacking up Sejuani's passive means that it's easy setup, and the mid laner secures first blood. So if Leader's going to carry, this is a great way for him to start.
Absolutely fantastic. And for a Yasuo to come back to lane at 4 minutes and 30 seconds with boots 2, this champion is so oppressive. The itemization curve is so incredibly smooth. You get cooldown reduction, you get more wave clear, you get more damage when you build crit. Everything is basically doing double value for the side of leader. So we see Trick now trying to make a replay. Ooh, response play on top side, not going to happen.
I feel like Trick is actually here to protect Odo. The fact that he doesn't have access to the flash or the TP. This time around, Trick was like, okay, they're probably going to revisit, especially because of where the wave placement was for Aatrox, pushed more to his side. So Trick actually wasn't fishing for a gank there. He knew that Sejuani would be in the area.
Well played then to cover the option. Windwall comes through to block the 5-point strike. Doing the knockup as well. Difficult lane for Abbedagge to be sure. Gorilla has to get out though. IgNar stepping forward.
So while the top side of the map isn't going that great for Schalke, the bot side is going very well. Upset and IgNar utilizing the early game pressure that they have with this 2 versus 2 has actually built up a pretty sizable CS advantage. They've also just forced a flash out from Gorilla. Not even sure why he was that far up in the lane, but you've got to respect the Tahm Kench power of how easy it is to just stick to you with that Tahm.
Ooh, knock up in the shroud, keep him safe for now, but you can see.
How far is he from sticks? There it is.
Close, there's it. Go for the tornado.
Yes, the knockup.
Trick needs to be careful. There's no shroud available.
Abbedagge knows.
Knockup is there. Ooh, Shuriken Flip will take him out to safety. Kirei can come in.
Here comes the assistance, Sejuani.
Level 6 coming in for Abbedagge though. An extra dash.
Go. It's dangerous. When you have that ulti, you can get CC'd underneath the tower. Akali has way too much mobility in her kit. Smart from Misfits to disengage, but Leader exerting his pressure and Kirei just in the vicinity to allow him to do what he's doing.
Tempered aggression there from Kirei and Leader. We don't usually expect this of newcomers onto the LEC stage, but I agree with you, Vedius.
But notice how he's already built himself up. Ooh, Abbedagge actually the one to go in the all-in.
The big play. Trick is on the way in. The wind wall is there. Leader trying to fancy footwork through this one. Does manage to flash to safety. Kirei is here now too, but it's not enough. Abbedagge looking to put his name back on the charts for rookies.
Beautifully played by the mid laner of Schalke. He noticed that he was getting good chip damage down. Ooh, we see more fighting in the bot lane.
Pulling out, denying him a lot of seconds of duration on that Unbreakable. Gorilla is now in trouble. He's been caught out. IgNar can just walk him down, getting one. Hanzama leaping forward, desperate to try to get upset, but he's overstayed his welcome. You're not going to get that kill. The concussive blows are not enough. Walk him down, pick him up, spit him out, spam a bit of a laugh, and have a damn good time if you're on the side of Schalke, because that's an easy 2 for 0.
It just doesn't stop now, Trick!
Moving forward on top, has the ulti, can pull him back. If he gets a kill, he'll get the reset, but I don't think he's going to get the opportunity. The chain CC is there. SoaZ, that's all she wrote, taken out in an instant.
And everyone is so keen to fight this game. As soon as any team gets information about where the jungler is, where the resources have been expended, on the opposite side of the map, everything's on fire.
And we can see Leader pushing up aggressively in the lane, but Abbedagge knows his jungler is coming, so they commit to the play. The wind wall looks good, but it doesn't actually achieve anything. Abbedagge comes in with the ult into the ignite, into the Q, to help himself secure the kill. Meanwhile, that's happening, the bot lane trade is happening, and this is where things start to fall apart for Misfits.
And reminder, Gorilla had had his flash burned, so IgNar in Upset recognized when Gorilla has overstayed his welcome. He thinks that he can create a necessary space by using the stand behind me to jump back to Hanzama, but IgNar just rocks up to him.
And this is one of the great things about Tahm Kench against melee matchups. He's just so oppressive because of how easy it is to get those stacks up, gobble, 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 and secure his team the kill. And then while that happened, then we see a gank up towards top side because Trick was like, oh, I'll help you push out mid. I'll actually make my way top. Looks like SoaZ is overextended a little bit. And what started off as a great early game for Schalke, Leader was looking great. He was generating a lot of pressure. He secures first blood. The 2v2 falls apart. Trick is finding so much more on the map. And Schalke immediately secure themselves a small but certain gold lead and 4 kills on the board.
And just the instant turnaround is so wild to me. From Leader starting off so strong that first kill, everything's going well, and then all it takes, one piece falls out of place. Schalke instantly turned this game around in the early game, and I want to see what's going to happen from here. Of course, we are now into a pause. See, I'm curious as we move further into the game. Does Leader continue to play so forward in lane, or is that first kill kind of a shock to his system, that first death, and he maybe backs off a little bit?
I mean, the nice thing is that Yasuo doesn't necessarily need to be as dependent on his flash as other champions because of his high mobility in the lane phase. That said, he's still against the likes of a Skarner. Good news, Trick also doesn't have flash, so I guess there's that added benefit that you can't just get flash impaled, but does need to be a bit more respectful and pick his windows better. It could just be that instead of looking for kills in the lane, he actually just unlocks himself from the lane, and it becomes more about teaming up with Kirei and fighting in the river versus the mid lane.
I actually think that would be better. Just because it gets to a point in this matchup where the Akali just has so much more power. She is typically considered strong into most melee matchups anyway, because if the enemy team has to fight in front of your face, then fun fact, she can proc Qs easier and she can utilize her passive more. And now that she has access to her ultimate and she's already upgraded to the revolver, Abbedagge is very comfortable, so Leader has to respect that.
All right, and we are now going to be getting back into game, folks. As a quick update on the pause, Upset's foot fell asleep. Had to pause for that. We don't authorize pauses for that, so there has been a warning, but I respect that he was committed enough to take the warning to get his foot back into functioning action. He then immediately sat on it again, but we'll get the play-by-play breakdown on that later.
All I'm going to say is that it's very uncomfortable to play when your foot's asleep. So I respect, I understand.
All right, Mr. Play-by-Play, talk us through the Drake, because it's been started off by Misfits.
Just enough vision from Schalke to see something coming in here. IgNar just trying to walk down Hansama. The flash has now been forced, but the jungler now in trouble. Trick going to get locked up. The chain CC is there on the backside. Hansama is in danger. However, Abbedagge looking for the kill. Trick still alive. He's made it out. I can't believe it. The great escape. And Leader, is it going to be enough freeze frame? But that's going to be it. 5-point strike. 2 quick deaths for Leader in this game. And Abbedagge is still alive. Schalke simply refused to die in this exchange. Every single member is left standing. Oh.
And once again, Misfits falter. 4 members die in that all-in brawl around the Drake. They committed to trying to kill Trick, and they couldn't even find that. Schalke come out on top. Upset continues to be consistent, and Schalke lead with a 3,000 gold lead.
And the fact that you now have 3-0 on both carries for Schalke just has to feel so good as we take another look at that one.
This one, of course, from Abbedagge's perspective. Leaping in, immediately taking down Hansama, of course, knows the flash is no longer available as they continue this fight.
I mean, I understand that it's from Abbedagge's perspective, and he did exactly what he needed to do, which was kill the Ezreal and the fleeing Yasuo, but ultimately, the fight was lost and won for Schalke on the top side when they expended everything for Trick and didn't get him.
Yep.
Blast coned his way out to safety.
Really good fight from the side of Schalke. And while we talked so much about how Misfits wanted to play around their solo lanes, unfortunately, Misfits have just been losing so much everywhere on the map, and a lot of it comes off the back of Trick as they go all in.
Shroud does come out, though, immediately stopping the play in its track. IgNar is there to save him. Stun will go through as well, but so difficult to actually lock down that Akali if you can't simply one-shot her.
I also do want to say it was a great roam by IgNar. Yeah, you usually see on this reset that the supports will walk mid anyway to team up with their jungler and place wards, but he was there just in time if Abbedagge needed him.
Also notice how Abbedagge has completed the Seeker's Arm Guard. Really valuable against a lot of melee matchups. Makes the 1v1 a lot easier, and also, as it stacks up in the early game, it'll help you in your duels as the game progresses as well. So good itemization priority there from Abbedagge.
So now we should be in this tug of war over who's going to get priority in the mid lane, because we're playing for the Rift Herald now that Infernal Drake has been taken down. So that's why you see both teams kind of cheating their bot lanes, or at least looking top lane with their supports. I think if things settle, we may return back to standard lanes.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a swap come out from either side, to be honest. Given that the Drake just did fall, you talked about getting priority over the river. Rift Herald would be the next big objective.
He's doing it.
And I feel like, yeah, Kirei is just going to... Oh, maybe he's not going to start this one off. Oh, maybe he is. Observers trolling me again.
The dance in Vedius.
I feel like the Upset and IgNar could have actually made the swap topside and then looked to try and contest this, but I guess they're still afraid of SoaZ being able to gain prio in the 1v1. You notice that he's once again finding a CS advantage in this matchup, but that'll get harder the longer the game goes. Leader has now joined the fray, but Schalke don't want to give this a free.
Advantage priority there. They're going to be able to move for the smite. Trick locked up. Will they commit anything more? No, it appears they learned their lesson last time around, but Kirei now caught in the midst of 2 members of Schalke. No fear. Abbedagge still trying to find the escape. The flat forward looking for Leader, but locked up. Oh, goes golden for a brief moment. Trick now stepping in. IgNar on the way in. 2. They can't kill Abbedagge. This man simply refuses to die, but Trick now wants to keep the play going. SoaZ just going to use the ultimate. Continuing here now, IgNar steps forward. Once again, this Tahm Kench is on a mission to kill, but they have to back off here. Leader now steps in, looking for a bit more damage. Abbedagge, I don't think he's going to take that one. Will back off in the end, but an incredibly close exchange.
And meanwhile, Odo is just chilling up in the top lane, just taking down the turret plates, chipping away up there. So, yeah, all of this action is happening in the jungle. No one is dying, but Jax is actually gaining a lot back in this lane.
And He certainly is. I feel that the longer that fight went on, the happier Odoamne was going to be, because just picking up all those extra plates was definitely going to be what that Jax wants to get to secure those early item spikes. So let's have a look here. Once again, we already talked a lot about this, that this was going to be the next primary objective. This is 3 versus 2, but Misfits say, well, you know what, Odoamne is coming down, let's not actually commit to the fight. So instead they choose to split up. They feel like that they can cut their losses, and they almost trade 1 for 1, but Abbedagge, with a very clutch stopwatch and the arrival of IgNar, actually allows Schalke to disengage, but again, they just keep getting bought into this fight.
And it just feels like Schalke are just gaining more across the map here. Yeah, they didn't get the Rift Tail, they got the kill on the Jax, they get a couple of plates there. Upset, I believe, also took a plate down in that mid lane as the Sivir just ran it down into the mid. So across the map, it feels like Schalke feel very good about that play despite not having Herald.
And we're 12, almost 13 minutes into the game now, and it's almost a 4K gold lead going over to the back pockets of Schalke. Excellent position for them to be in on the back of these last few plays. And I'm going to say surprise standout for me this game is Abbedagge. He is absolutely showing up in this matchup. Yes, he's getting that attention from Trick, but remember, this is a guy who went under the radar in some of his good games and was very clearly a problem in some of those more proactive games like the Yasuo one. So to see this level of performance is astounding.
Well, now Misfits looking to collapse on Abbedagge as the Tahm Kench roams bot as well.
Oh, back Abbedagge, unconcerned, however, instantly exhausted under the 10. No! I cursed him! It happened. The cat, I'm sorry, folks. The cats are cursed. The shutdown there for Misfits. Fantastic play.
It is literally every single time we build up Abbedagge, he always dies.
Sorry, Abbedagge. We want to use our powers for
Look
good.
away!
But we just can't control them.
Well, the good news for Misfits, despite the gold deficit, they are now set up to move into this bot lane, but they have to be careful because IgNar is moving in, Upset wrapping around. SoaZ will get taken out by Trick. Kirei now caught between Upset and Trick. Trying to retreat, Gorilla can't move forward, but they have to be careful. Ultimate going to come out, Upset going to sidestep. Sivir with no ultimate available, but the flash is there. Trick now chasing down, and Misfits are going to have to walk away empty-handed, really not getting that much off the Herald.
But Upset did force the flash out of Sejuani there, and despite the fact that they didn't kill Sej, very well mechanically played on the Sivir.
Odoamne, the counter-strike coming out, but still gets hit by the stun in the end, is not interrupted there with a knock-up. Leader needs to be careful, he misses the Steel Tempest, and Odo's going to grab the kill.
But the biggest misplay there was actually that Leader utilized his ultimate while the E was on from Odoamne. So the moment he lands, he gets stunned, which then just buys time for Odoamne to turn around, hit, and he's able to come out on top of the one-on-one. I feel like that one-on-one is already going to be difficult for the Yasuo. While Leader made it look close, he could not come out victorious today.
And maybe there's a perfect world where you're stunned in your ultimate animation, wouldn't be interrupted. You buy that, you play it perfectly, but it doesn't happen. He's too early, and from a player that we, once again, when we introduced this guy, we were like, Yasuo one trick. This guy knows every mechanic, every situation, can outplay it. And in that situation, missed timing is unfortunate.
So we cursed him, we cursed Abbedagge.
Who else
you want to take a shot at?
Let me know on Twitter. Who do you want me to curse? I'll call them great right now. They'll fall apart.
But when we actually look at the gold, we can see that Leader is surprisingly close to Abbedagge. We'll get into that point in a second. Notice how he's a level down as well, doing what he can to utilize his mobility, gets set up, and I think very much what you say, Drakos, if he lands that E during the ult animation, then he can avoid the stun entirely, but misses that final Q. I'm not sure that would have been enough because you have the Jax ultimate up as well to mitigate a lot of the damage, all those extra resistances. However, very close there from Leader. Maybe if he was level 11, maybe, but...
Maybe. But this is a difficult situation because Jax is a terrifying member of the opposing team. And something you brought up earlier is that Ezreal can be that AP threat, but Ezreal kind of far behind, going the Frozen Gauntlet route, so isn't there yet. So for now, Jax is getting scarier and scarier in these 1v1s, and it's going to be hard to find someone to answer him. However, the fight is going to kick off. Hold that thought. Trick now getting spit out to safety, needs to retreat. The stun is there for Han Sama. Misfits have the momentum in this fight. They're looking for the retreat. SoaZ now coming in from the side, looking to get someone knocked up. Snow Mana left. That's the knockup from Leader. Big ulti coming in from the Ezreal. Upset taking down. The shutdown is there. Misfits are cutting through this entire team. Abbedagge looking for his hero moment. The flash forward from the solo laners. Now Schalke are going to look to clean this one up. SoaZ will still have the revive. Abbedagge dashing out to safety, but the stun kill connects. He's burning. It will be enough in the end, and Misfits take the fight.
A very big pick there from Misfits. They have positioning into the mid lane. There's not a lot of the good wave clear left for Schalke, so I think they should break the tower here.
I thought it was going to be disaster the moment that Leader walked away from the fight, but the rest of Misfits were able to keep the momentum up and come out on top. So we can see this fight starts off with Misfits catching Trick out of position. Fortunately for him, IgNar is there to keep him alive, but it's still a 4 versus 3 at this point in time. Upset, he delays the ultimate for a little too long, and then look at the positioning of Leader. He's able to get that knocker onto Upset, force him out of the fight, and find that kill. But then they greed underneath the tower, and now they're split apart. Now Abbedagge and Odoamne, 2 versus 4. They think they can come out on top, but look at all the healing coming out from SoaZ. He has his ultimate revive available. He has so much damage at this level 11 point. And Misfits are able to come out on top. Their first big team fight win, very much needed to come back into this game.
So I was trying to figure out what Misfits are playing tempo for. They could have taken their time that after they won the team fight, if they're going to push down the mid tower, or if they're going to look for a reset, and what they do after that reset. And because they took it and they immediately found their lane assignments and sending leader back up here to the top side, it tells me that they want to get a solo kill for this Yasuo. They're like, okay, leave the mid lane tower, that's fine. We can continue to trade back farm. It's not going to be a secure objective for us in the long run. Let's focus on this Yasuo.
Focusing they are. 3 members committed to the top side. 1-man advantage, but IgNar, of course, a looming threat. Abyssal Voyage is up and available. Can roam as necessary. Take a second here to check in across the board. 3K gold lead still for Schalke. Have double very powerful Drakes there, and the damage throughout the game. However, we will have to hold that thought as the fight is now breaking off. Trick has suppressed the Yasuo, dashing through, looking for that third Q, needs the knock, but is not going to get the time. Just gets bursted down in an instant. Abbedagge into the backline. Upset and IgNar are here as well. Eyes on SoaZ, though. He's moving in, looking to take down Odoamne. The bonus resistance from the Jax are not going to be enough. SoaZ just gets caught in the midst of the meat grinder and gets taken out.
That was an every man for themselves situation for Misfits. They saw that it went sideways very early on, and then everyone ran in their own separate directions as Schalke just ripped them apart.
I feel like Misfits are just going for every fight that they see an opportunity to go for, and there's no thought, there's no planning into the ease of execution. Like, what were they fighting for there? There are no neutral objectives to take. If they wanted to set up for top tower, they needed way more control over the rest of the map. And it just feels like that you're seeing some of the young eagerness from the introduction of leader, the willingness to take every fight, but it ends up costing them greatly.
But of course, 2 of the members of this team are younger in the scheme of things, Kirei and Leader, but you've got Gorilla and SoaZ. They should be the voices of reason.
Kirei's a very veteran player as well. He's been playing for a very long time. You can see, like, it starts off with a 2 versus 2, and they think that with Gorilla on the way, they can actually come out on top of this. But at this point in time, Akali and Skarner just do so much damage, and the items have come through for Abbedagge with the Gunblade completed, and with the Shroud, there's very little that the Yasuo could do except for run away.
There's also the fact that Yasuo has kind of repeatedly gone to base, picked up the same items, walked back into lane, and then immediately been sent back to base, either in a body bag or because he has to walk back because he got chunked out. He's been sitting on the same items for so long. This guy isn't any stronger than where he was about 5 minutes ago.
Immediately the lead forward, looking to pick up Leader, pull him back through the wind wall and take him out. But Leader gets the knockup, will do a bit of damage, not enough. The Ignite used as well, and Leader goes down again.
And the Baron is just about to spawn. Schalke not actually making their way towards it, just looking to gain control over the rest of the map. They want to push out top, push out bot, and either secure that top tier 1, but in an ideal world, they'd love to take this mid tower down, because with that gone, being able to set up around the Baron becomes that much easier.
I mean, it gets much easier too when you have double Mountain Drakes, and they look to be uncontested taking this one. Everything really coming up in the favor of Schalke. 6K Gold Leaf, double Mountain, Abbedagge 5-2 and 3-5, 1-5 from Upset across the board. Schalke are just destroying.
And they must feel that confidence. They know that they're in the lead. They know that this is their game to lose at this point into the match. Like you said, double Mountain, the Ignite, or the Infernal Drake, they don't actually need to force a Baron. They can sit back, continue to scale up, play these side lanes, and play the map in so many different ways.
Leader just getting caught out. We've seen this a few times so far this game, currently sitting at 1-5-2 for the young rookie. And Schalke just ultimately working better as a 5-man unit. Very quick to respond. Trick has been in the right place at the right time consistently throughout this game. And I feel like that, honestly, we talked a lot about how Misfits wanted to play around their solo laners, but because Schalke won the bot 2v2 so hard, Upset is one of the biggest determining factors in actually the outcome of these fights. Speaking of bot laners...
Stunned, chased down here. Trick now looking for a little bit more. Here on the backside. Schalke not getting over aggressive there, not looking to risk anything on that pick.
Yeah, it should be noted that Trick's ultimate just came off of cooldown.
Odoamne, though, potentially going to look for a flank again. A lot of good vision placed on the bottom side by Schalke. A very slow, very controlled, methodical Schalke in this game. Ooh.
Wait, this has been way more bloodthirsty than what we normally see from Schalke.
To be fair, though, I feel like a lot
think it's 'cause Misfits are running into him.
Misfits are like, we see you standing there.
But I will also give a lot of props to Trick. I feel like he's been super proactive on the Skarner. I thought that he had a good game on it yesterday, and I like what I'm seeing from him today. A lot of discussion has been around, has his addition been enough to reshape the Schalke from last split? And while currently the standings does not suggest that, I do feel internally they feel it very much so. So as we approach the mid-game, I said we're very well into the mid-game now, with items being fully completed. I don't know why I said as we approach. You can notice that Schalke are the ones that have primary control over all the side lanes. Right now, they aren't able to gain mid-priority, but because of how much stronger Skarner is, he can just force his way into the river and just start gaining this vision control. So Misfits are going to have to start playing around this fog of war and have to be conscious of what's going on around the Baron. Is it being started up? And even if it is, can they actually fight for it?
Very careful indeed. Righteous Glory plus the Predator Boots, nigh impossible to escape Trick if he finds you in his sights. Have to commit a few more members. You can see how Misfits are split up, trying to pick up some farm across the map. Schalke see an opportunity. They're going to pull Trick back, but still the Unbreakable is there for Gorilla. Buys a bit more time. Odoamne to the backside. The disengage comes out, but the tower still in favor of Schalke. No fear. SoaZ now on the front line, running forward. Movement speed should kick in a second, but he's just going to back off, just going to retreat.
There seemed to be a lot of split decision-making there from Schalke. Are we using the Sivir ultimate because we're actually looking for an engage tool on Trick, you know, empowering that Impale, making it that much faster and speeding towards you? Or are we just here for the tower? And I think that indecision almost cost them a very sketchy fight. They were able to disengage from it.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it looked like initially they wanted to try and force Misfits away from the tower, you know, just say, ooh, we're scary. But then the fact that they actually dived, now Abbedagge looking to just fancy feet his way out of that one, will be able to escape. But yes, a bit of a split decision there from Schalke, almost cost them a couple of members, but they still walk away with the tower. Still feeling very good about this position that they're currently in.
And as you were talking about previously, Vedi, you were talking that now the map opens up, now we're able to play around Baron, you get access to put that much more deep vision, but I feel like Misfits actually have a composition that isn't punished as hard, losing access to, or having a map more shrouded in fog of war, because they have champions like an Ezreal who can scout bushes. They have very tanky champions like the Braum and the Sejuani who can safely face check and then make picks off of it. So while this isn't a great situation to be in, Misfits do have tools on their composition to make the burden hurt less.
The thing is, though, the longer the game goes, the actual better it is for Schalke, because we already talked about how Jax is going to be outscanning the Aatrox. I feel like if he's not already at that point, he's getting very close to it, already has the level lead. Upset is by far and away much stronger than Hans Sama and has 3 fully completed items. And Abbedagge in a side lane should be able to win that 1v1 against Leader. So I'm now looking at potential ways in which Misfits can come back into this game, and you kind of have to find the perfect team fight in order to turn this game around, because things are looking very dire.
It's a very itty-bitty tiny window.
Teeny tiny, definitely not what Misfits fan.
Teeny tiny window.
You nailed the voice. I'll give you that. Difficult position to be in, and it's Misfits. Once again, the solo lane play, it feels like counting against them. Have not been able to do much with it this game. Feels like the fights that they've been picking up. IgNar moving around the wall. Hans Sama now potentially caught out. One more stack. They're going to move right into the midst of it. They just want the meat grinder Gorilla blocking as much damage as he can. Such a huge determining factor, but Abbedagge is into the backside. The TP now coming into the mid lane. Odoamne moving through. Schalke winning the fight for now, but Upset incredibly low. Leader on the way in. Abbedagge finds one. He's looking for 2. Wants to get Gorilla. Gets it with the gunplay. Double kill for the Akali. Leader flashing through. He wants the kill. He wants the revenge. The knockup will not connect. A beautiful stopwatch from Abbedagge will keep him alive. He goes out. He goes right back in.
And all 5 members of Schalke are alive. A perfectly played team fight from every single member will shut down Misfits and will open up a free Baron for Schalke.
They got everything. They got the team fight, they got the tower, they're going to get the Baron. Again, this is Schalke's game to lose. At this point, they are in the driver's seat and they are running Misfits over.
Incredible display of dominance in that team fight. So many low health members coming out on top, outplaying the individual circumstances. Cannot wait to look at the replay, but for now, massive gold lead to Schalke. Almost 12k in their favor and a Baron buff backing them up. This is their game to lose.
And is this the redemption arc for Abbedagge? Finally. It's been so long since he's had a pop-off game, and yeah, a lot of his responsibility has been just being obnoxious into the side lanes, but how he's playing these team fights is very clean.
And this team fight started off with Hans Sama just trying to base in a slightly dangerous position. Notice how Upset gets stunned up by Ezreal the moment he comes out, and he's able to land that last auto. So he then gets protected by IgNar. Then Abbedagge splits up the fight into a backline versus frontline. He's just buying time. When it looks like he's about to die, there's the immediate Zhonya's. Beautifully played by him. Odoamne was there to back him up. They can turn their attention back towards SoaZ after the fact. But what's most impressive is that all 5 members stayed alive. Extremely well played by the side of Schalke.
Second time that's happened this game. Schalke, so many members getting out with low blinking health bars. Has to be frustrating for the side of Misfits. And now to see how cleanly the Schalke lineup can close out with this commanding of an advantage, because once again, we're waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes before we really get Misfits back into this game. with such a commanding lead from the side of Schalke.
I don't know if they ever get back into this game, no matter how long it goes. It'd have to be a catastrophic misplay from Schalke's composition for just how many options and how versatile they can play this map. They can play the side lanes, they can play the 5v5. They've got the gold lead that they can just run it straight at you.
Abbedagge is so strong as well. You can see how easily he just pushes SoaZ out of the lane. Odoamne can likely 1 versus 2 in the bot lane. And like, we already talked about how difficult it was before. It's even harder now. Leader and Kirei may be looking for a play onto Odo though.
Odo getting baited in here. Counter-strike the major cooldown you have to keep your eyes on. Will come out now. The knockup is there, but Leader is so incredibly swishy. Odoamne has to keep his eyes on the prize here, but does get knocked up mid-jump. Now they may be able to find the kill. Leader on the retreat, however, Trick pulling back the Ezreal. Now caught in the midst of the team. Tahm on the retreat. Odoamne cutting through this entire lineup. And Misfits just have to run. There is nothing left because this is a 4v5. Akali is on the top side, and Schalke are still dominating.
And that's the key thing. They're winning the fight, and they're ending the game. A 4v5, and Upset is just going to chase him all the way into Abbedagge's waiting hands. Quadra kill, never mind.
Quadra kill for Upset. A commanding win for Schalke. No fear up against Misfits. Once again, Misfits play around their solo lanes. Leader, Yasuo, his first game on stage, but it is not enough. Abbedagge and Trick in the early game. The team as a whole, they're trolling. They're not even concerned. They'll take the win.
The GGs come out from Schalke in what was a very one-sided game overall. The biggest highlight for Misfits was that level 3, level 4 play that they made up towards the top side, but after that, the 2v2 failed abysmally in the laning phase. Trick was able to outperform Kirei in the mid lane, and then what was a big top lane advantage ended up crumbling as Trick and IgNar continued to exert pressure. It just felt like the Schalke denied every possible win condition the Misfits had, and then just continued to win fight after fight after fight.
Just felt like a well-oiled machine. The only member who really had a quiet game, if you will, was Odoamne. Otherwise, as Vedius is saying, Abbedagge, Trick, IgNar, Upset, they all had their moment in the spotlight. They all had the domino set up. They all pushed it over exactly when they needed to.
And I want to give a highlight to Schalke's knowledge about how to play around Yasuo. They never ganked him in the lane. They never ganked him when he could stack up the Q or dash around them. The second he left, without Steel Tempest stacked, without the ability to knock up or interrupt a Jax or anyone else, instantly jumped on that Yasuo, killed him before he could do anything. Perfectly played into the matchup. Clearly they're prepared, and no surprise when Abbedagge is a Yasuo player himself, but for Leader, a rough start. See what he can do in games to come. See how Misfits' solo lane focused playstyle shapes up if they want to keep trying it out.
I mean, ultimately, while it's easy to criticize Leader, I think like the whole team also just kind of fell apart. I wonder if by introducing 2 new members, it just changed a lot of the communication and dynamics within the team that SoaZ and the bot lane struggled to adapt to. A lot of conversations to be had and a lot to figure out, but Misfits, once again, not looking super strong after week 3. And when we remember to last split, it was week 3 that their downfall started. And given that they're already 2-4, there's still a long split left to go. But I imagine many Misfits fans are still very worried about what this team looks like in the future.
Yeah, again, the reality is it's not like you're making this substitution off of a squad that looks super concrete in itself and then just throwing that out the window. They're obviously trying to change out the variables, trying to make something stick. If you have this deep of a roster, I think that's the right move to make, and it's only a matter of time until something clicks into place for Misfits.
See how long that development takes, what the changes are going to be, what the strategies are going to be. I still feel like there's signs of hope for Misfits, but this was definitely a rough game and a rough week overall. For Schalke, hard for me to know where they rank. We put so many teams in B tier.
There's great signs of hope for Schalke. Trick looks amazing. It looks like it's just about synergy, time, and communication for this team. It feels like Schalke are picking the right play every single time. Sometimes the execution isn't as clean as it needs to be, but I feel like Schalke are just time away from being in that conversation up with our top teams.
In my opinion, Schalke have a very consistent and reliable bot lane. No one can argue that Upset is not one of the best AD carries that we have in Europe. Meanwhile, Trick is getting better and better each week at playing around Abbedagge, and I feel like Abbedagge is just becoming more consistent and more reliable as a carry. So if they can continue to develop upon this, then I think there are high hopes for Schalke. But I do agree that it's still difficult to see exactly where they fall and where they rank along the LEC ladder.
And look, I'm hyped for how much better Abbedagge is getting each time he sets foot on that stage, but we are going to be joined by Dylan Falco after the break discussing this game and, of course, Origin versus Splice. Odoamne and Maxlor sharing a tender moment is what I'm going to call this one. I missed the context.
Odoamne signing his shirt, or...?
We missed someone...
Was it a Schalke shirt?
Was it a Schalke shirt? It might have been a Schalke shirt. We'll assume, but tender moment regardless. Interesting to see. Of course, your key player of the game options. lolesports is the place. It's on Twitter. You know what the deal is. It's Trick, it's Abbedagge, and IgNar.
Where you going?
Yeah, that's fair. I probably would go Trick this game, in my opinion. I think there's an argument to be made for both Abbedagge and IgNar, if I'm being honest. I think they all had really good performances. It depends on what you value the most. If you want to say, like, who had the best map movements and who had the best, who are you pointing at?
Just say that guy in the middle's name one more time.
Abbedagge.
That's right. Good job, Vedius. Coming up next, two potential top teams face off as Splice and Origin look to get a 2-0 week. More on that with Dylan Falco after the break.
Abbedagge actually the one.